just a preliminary comment.
Hold on, watch on the microphone.
One of the principles among Lutherans is we don't bind conscience, which Gene pointed to in terms of public education. We want people to think, and so we aren't going to tell anybody how to vote, but we want people aware.
Okay, so this slideshow is from Mom's Demand Action, and it concerns the public measure 1. So we'll just kind of go through this pretty quickly. You can skip through that. Go on. So in Iowa, if you look at the statistics, 78% of gun deaths by suicide, 19% by homicides. That's compared to 59% and 38% nationwide, respectively. In an average year, 302 people die and 489 are wounded by guns in Iowa. And Iowa has the 38th highest rate of gun violence in the United States. And this just shows how Iowa's numbers are increasing over the national numbers. Here again is another bar graph showing that. Firearms are the second leading cause of death among children and teens in Iowa. And gun violence has a disproportionate impact on Black communities. Black people are 2.3 times more likely than white people to die by guns. Black people are 16 more times likely than white people to die by gun homicide. And Black children and teens are 6 times more likely than their white peers to die by gun. So there have been several bills in the state of Iowa since 2017 that have limited gun sense legislation. So in 2017, it was legal to shoot to kill people in public, even if you could choose to walk away, called stand your ground or shoot first law. In 2020, they expanded Iowa's preemption law, including by allowing people to collect fees and court costs for challenging local public safety laws. And in 2021, it is legal for people to carry hidden loaded handguns in public in Iowa without a permit or safety training. This bill also allowed people to purchase handguns from unlicensed sellers without background checks. And I think a lot of people in Iowa do not realize that this law is in place. So that brings us to public measure number 1. And this is the text. It says, the right to keep and bear arms, section 1A, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. The sovereign state of Iowa affirms and recognizes this right to be a fundamental individual right. Any and all restrictions of this right shall be subject to strict scrutiny. And before I kind of delved into this, I didn't understand what strict scrutiny was, but it's a really important topic to know. And then what is strict scrutiny? And there's actually 3 different ways that judges need to look at laws. Which I didn't know before last night. So there's, Mark, do you want to read about?
Let me get that up, shall I? I sent it to Doug, but he's gone.
What are you looking for?
It's all right.
So this explains the strict scrutiny, but I think it's important to know that there are 3 levels, and what Mark had explained all 3.
I'm looking for Connie Ryan's email. Can't find it. So that the strict scrutiny 1 is very general. It's like if you want to bring a complaint about a law that affects you personally, the courts can view it look at it that way, that, hey, this rule, you in particular are influenced by this, and so they can rule in your favor. The second one is a little tighter, so that it's whether groups and agencies help me. The strict scrutiny, I'm going to just go to the third one. The strict scrutiny is that you can't restrict a law that's already in place unless you can show that, I should shut up. Well, because I found it so well written.
Mark, if you give them the microphone so people can hear you online.
If I had something worth saying.
Can you find it on your screen?
No, I keep finding it on as.
Bill, is there any clarity you want to bring to it? Bill?
No, it was, but I let the
Oh,
play.
it left.
Yeah.
Okay. So,
He's still looking.
so anyway, just going on to the strict scrutiny, it requires that a judge determine that a challenged law furthers a compelling government interest and is narrowly tailored to achieve that interest. The gun lobby claims that strict scrutiny amendments restore the right to keep and bear arms, when what they really do is threaten public safety laws, forcing judges to apply the highest judicial standard when analyzing firearm-related laws. This standard is not required by the Supreme Court's recent decision in New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin. And you could go to the next one. There are 3 states now that have this law with strict scrutiny: Alabama, Louisiana, and Missouri. And those 3 have the highest number of gun deaths now within the top 5. Okay.
Three levels of judicial review. Rational basis, which is the lowest standard of review. It has historically required very little for a law to pass as constitutional. The rational basis test is generally used in cases where no fundamental rights or personal classifications are at issue. The second level of judicial review is the immediate scrutiny. Immediate scrutiny places the burden of proof on the government regarding the constitutionality of a law. It is invoked when a state or federal government passes a statute which respectively or negatively affects certain protected cases. In order for a law to pass immediate scrutiny, it must further an important government interest and do so by means substantially related to that interest. The third level of judicial review, strict scrutiny, is the highest standard of judicial review that courts use to evaluate the constitutionality of certain laws. Strict scrutiny is often used by courts when a person sues the government for discrimination. Strict scrutiny requires the government to prove that there is a compelling state interest behind the challenged policy, and the law or regulation is narrowly tailored to achieve its result. The U.S. Supreme Court has determined that legislation or government actions that discriminate in equal protections claims based on race, national origin, religion, and lineage must be held to the standard of strict scrutiny as to whether it violates constitutional equal protection. Restrictions on content-based speech are also reviewed under strict scrutiny standard. Notably, the Supreme Court has refused to endorse the application of strict scrutiny to gun regulations. That's what I learned.
Yeah. Thank you. So in those 3 states, because they have this strict scrutiny, many people, like felons, have sued the state government so that they could have the right to have arms again. And all of that causes a lot of cost for the state. Okay. Yeah. So there you see the Louisiana, the 3rd highest rate of gun deaths, Alabama, the 4th, and Missouri, the 5th. Missouri has more than double what Iowa's death rate is. So, and then it gives a couple examples of how the legal court challenges were used. At least one lower court found that Louisiana's law prohibiting felons from having guns was unconstitutional. Fortunately, the Louisiana Supreme Court reversed this ruling. So again, these costly, frivolous lawsuits. The auditor in Louisiana projected that a strict scrutiny amendment in Missouri would result in lawsuits costing Missouri taxpayers hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay, so that's kind of where we'll stop with the PowerPoint. But one thing to point out, if you look on this sheet, at the bottom it says text Iowa to 644-33. You can get a lot of information there as well. And I guess that's kind of goes along with what Jean said. We want to encourage information, and whether it's here in Adult Forum or in schools, we want people to be educated and to be able to make their own decisions.
I've passed out a sheet for you about the ELCA's positions. One of the things that's been around for 20 years is Rachel's Day. Women of the ELCA started Rachel's Day. It was about gun violence. So the first Sunday in May was what recommended, but you can do it any day. We could do that. Just a footnote, in my trunk, I have a vote no sign if anybody wants it. There was a question?
I just wanted to mention that I had understood that strict scrutiny would make it very difficult to modify any gun laws in Iowa.
That's correct.
Would you repeat the observation for those?
The observation was that strict scrutiny, if approved, would make it very difficult to change any gun laws in Iowa. And that is correct.
Ever.
A long, long time. Yeah.
What is the legislature's rationale for promoting this as an amendment?
There are a lot of legislators that get money from the NRA. It's, don't mess with our gun laws. We have a right to have our guns. I thought about this and prayed about it before I'm going to say it. So I was in the shower being baptized. Leslie will correct me on the way home. If you go out to Coralville Mall and you go to the highest, if you go up to the second floor at Coralville Mall and you go, you can go to find AK-47s, and you can go into a wooded, glass, well-lit shrine with glass display cases with guns available for you. You can buy an AK-47 fully equipped for about $900. That's in a store in Coralville. I won't name the store. But it's a business. And we don't bind conscience.
And I think probably some goes along with what Jean said, those sample template legislations that kind of filter down through states. And there may be some political motivation as well.
Mark and Donna, I would like to have you point out that the amendment can be voted on the back of your ballot. So you have to turn the ballot over to vote on that.
Good point.
Yes, remember, vote, you need to turn the ballot over to vote on this amendment. Now, we've already voted and there were several things on the back of our ballot, but if that's not the case for you, make sure you turn it over. Thank you.
Thank you.
I would like to go on to say what I think, and this is not Gloria Dei's position. I personally have nothing against my gun owning friends having the guns they have. I have no interest in taking guns out of my family. My friends are gun owners, hunters. It's just fine. I personally think there are some things we could do as a nation that would make gun ownership more responsible and safe in this country. But I would put under the line a category of common sense. But of course, there are those who say I'm an idiot if I think that's common sense. I think there are things we can do. I'm going to vote no to the strict scrutiny provision because my understanding is it would make that much harder to do. And that's, I don't bind your conscience either, but I'm happy to share mine. And that's why I have a sign in my front yard that says, please vote no. We don't have a sign on Gloria Dei's property. It's been much talked about, but we officially don't have that position. But I thank Mark and Donna for that. And if you are interested in having a sign, I'm sure Mark would be delighted to get those to you. He got one to me. All right. So thank you all.